All right. This is the official um, CRT podcast, the official release. Some of you already know I have a channel podcast, but I decided to change the name. And so this is the official podcast debut for CRT, which is Critical Relationship Talk, not the other CRT. CRT Critical Relationship Talk. And for this first one, I decided that I wanted to do it with you two. My best friend forever, 40 years and counting,
Right, right.
and my other friend. You know, unlike a lot of people, you have a best friend, you friends with the husband, and his wife is his wife, but I'm friends with both.
Right.
And the reason I asked you two is because um, there's so much talk about relationships in social media, and everybody knows on my channel, that's what I talk about. On all my social media platforms, I talk about specifically singles dating for the purpose of marriage. And you two always end up in my conversations.
Hmm.
When I'm talking about different examples, usually when I'm on somebody else's social media page in some kind of debate, where they're talking about all these wild things that we'll talk about on the podcast. When they're talking about dating, marriage, hypergamy, red pill stuff, all of this stuff about dating and all of the crazy stuff that we hear, I usually end up talking about YouTube. I talk about some of our other friends, Curtis, Tanika, talk about my friend CP and his wife, Ronnie and Sean, a bunch of people that we all know who are married, who are in happy marriages, which I don't know if that's an anomaly. You guys have a lot of friends that are in good marriages too, but it's
Right,
like
right.
the people we hear a lot of times on social media, it sounds like nobody knows anybody in good marriages, which is crazy to me because I'm like,
Right.
you guys have been married over 32 years, and we have friends that have been married like you guys over 30 years, over 20 years. So I thought about it. I said, well, I'm going to Detroit. I'm gonna reach out and ask, can I sit down with y'all and talk to you guys? Since I always use you for an example, I wanted to sit down and talk so you guys can talk for yourselves and give us some different advice and your take on a lot of the common things that we hear that you guys probably don't hear because usually when people are married, they turn their back on singles. y'all, y'all forget about single people, and I'll be glad when I get in that situation where I can forget too. But y'all forget about the single people because it's you're on to something better. So ain't no real particular format. You know me, I'm super informal, but
Okay.
I did jot down uh, a few questions, and I'll probably have some as you guys are talking. And I'm gonna start out with something. I remember when we went to Punta Cana. What was that? Was that 2 years ago now? I mean, it's a new year, so I can't remember.
Yeah, I want to say it was 2 years.
It was
Because it
either
Was it?
was 20.
it was either 2 or 3
Yeah.
years now since.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
it's probably
2 years
yeah.
ago.
Mhm.
So I asked both of y'all
Almost two.
some questions, and I had it pulled up. Of course, it ain't put there. It is. So I asked both of y'all some questions at different times. I
Mm-hmm.
said, "What advice do you have for single people?" And here's what you said.
Mhm.
You gave me three things.
Mhm.
You said communication. I asked for good some advice for single people. What can we do, or what will help us to have good relationships? You said communication. You said respect each other
Mhm.
and your differences. You can't always say what you want. Build each other up, and you said love for God. And let me see, what did Darren say? Darren said a little more. You want to add to any of that while I'm looking for Darren?
Nope, I would say
Expound on what you said.
I would say it's the same thing. I think all of those are so important. We were kind of talking about that the other day. Just,
Mm-hmm.
that love for God and trying to live according to his statutes um, I think really helps in a relationship because when you don't want to do it for your spouse, you doing it out of obedience to God. And then I think your relationship benefits from that. So, you know, it takes God to help you change your mind and your attitude and all of that sometimes. And, you know, trying to do things his way definitely benefits the relationship.
It's funny, we got into a conversation, was it not yesterday, the day before yesterday? And we were talking about how if if I were single, you know, if I met somebody and I was out dating, and if I met somebody who was not a believer, would I still date them? And even though they might have checked all the other boxes, you know, we we get along, we have like good communication, we have good conversation, we are attracted to each other, all those things. Would I date him? And I said it would be hard for me to just let it go. I said, but because of my relationship with God, I wouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? That's more important to me than the me being attracted to some female or whatever. I'm more concerned about what God feels about me and how he thinks about me, and obeying him, because I get into a relationship like that and it could go well for 5, 6 years, and then all of a sudden the bottom will fall out. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to me that is, like, to me, a foundation. When I first meet somebody, I want to know where they are spiritually. Where are you at in your walk with Christ?
Yeah.
Now it's funny you said that. I finally found what
Mhm.
you told me when we were
Mhm.
when we were in Punta Cana. And the first thing you said was relationship with God.
Mhm.
That was the first thing you said. And you gave me 5 things. The first thing you said was of importance was relationship with God. Number 2, you said make sure you're on the same page financially.
Mhm.
And number 3, you said respect. 4, you said sex.
Mhm. Right.
5, you said communication, not necessarily in that order.
Mhm. Right.
But those are the
Mhm.
things that you said. So it's interesting that your number one thing was relationship with God.
Mhm.
But let's go back. I already said it, but tell us how long you guys have been married and how y'all met.
Go. You want to tell it? Tell the story.
Okay. So the way I recall
Okay.
is you know, we've this coming June, it'll be 33 years. How we met was in the community choir that we were in, and we were friends. You know, we were all, you know, we were all hanging out. Um, and it was interesting because, you know, when we were friends and hanging out, I thought you guys were nice guys, but I wasn't necessarily like all in for Darren, like, oh, he fine, he this, he that, you know. Um, and I remember it was one Valentine's, and you know, I wasn't with anybody, and Darren called and you know, just to wish me a happy Valentine's Day. And I was like, oh, okay, that was, you know, that was nice or whatever. But we just started talking. And I don't know, we were on the phone for like 3 or 4 hours or whatever. But I appreciated him just talking to me. Not like if he thought I was cute or anything like that. He didn't say that, you know, but he just we were just talking, and you know, he was listening, and he was talking, and I really appreciated that. And that meant a lot to me. It didn't seem like it was anything physical. It was just like, I want to get to know you. You know, I want to know what you think, and I want to, you know, just know about you. And I just really appreciated that. And then there was a date.
Well, okay. So
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So we, I remember it was you and Kathy, and we were going out, and you were like, um, we were trying to find somebody to go out with, and I was looking for somebody to go out with, and y'all mentioned a few people. I'm like, nah, I'm good. And it was like, well, call Renee. I'm thinking she ain't gonna go. She ain't gonna go. So I was like, forget it. So I called her up. I was like, do you want to mind if you want to hang out and go to the movies? And she was like, no, I got some studying I gotta do. And I'm thinking to myself, yep, see, I knew it. But y'all can come over Friday. And so I'm like, oh, okay, okay. Well, there's a little bit of spark of interest or whatever. But I'm still not thinking anything. I'm just thinking, hey, look, I just want to hang out with somebody. And so we get over there and she's studying and I'm giving her the googly eyes and she's smiling.
I was studying.
Yeah, well, okay, whatever you were doing,
Uh-huh.
you were looking up and smiling too. So eventually, we were leaving. And so I got my hug and I turned my head a certain way and got a little smooch. And so after that, you know, you could tell the feelings were kind of mutual or whatever between us. So um I think the next day we ended up going, we had a gig or something that day, the next day. So we had gone out. I think we had rode with you and it might have been Kathy, I think.
I told him that if I had seen him after that kiss, if I had seen him talking to somebody else the next day, I would have been mad because I'm like, I didn't just kiss my friend.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a whole nother story.
Right.
Especially for dudes.
Mhm.
Right. But I think after that, we just kind of like, it just almost seemed like it was official. I mean, we just kept talking and going by each other's house, and it just came mutual, and then eventually, as we progressed or whatever, I think after what, almost a year and a half, I think I ended up proposing to her. So
Wow. That's crazy because of course I was around for all of it.
yeah, right.
But I remember when we first saw you. You remember that?
Yeah.
We were over at
Yeah.
Christ the Mediator.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And you came in, I don't know who brought you in. You came in with
Probably with
somebody.
Michelle.
You
I think
came
it
in
was
with somebody who was
Michelle.
already in the
Sharon,
group.
Sharon, yeah.
And we all looked around like, who's the cute girl?
Right.
We did. We all looked around like, who's the cute girl?
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to Kathy. So me and Kathy used to always tell Darren, you need to talk to Renee. You need to talk to Renee. And I don't know what happened because you're still married 32 years later and I'm single. I don't know what happened. Maybe y'all should be encouraging me to talk to somebody. But yeah, I remember that. So almost 33 years. And I mean, what do you all think? I mean, I got some questions here I'm gonna ask, but
Mhm.
what do y'all think is the downfall of a lot of relationships? Because Joker's out here saying crazy stuff. I mean, y'all, like I said, y'all probably don't engage in a lot of that because y'all doing something else. Y'all married, but it's a lot of, I mean, just to talk about relationships, it's a madhouse.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I said, a lot of my best friends are married. I told somebody this yesterday, I think. I said none of my male friends that are married would trade places with me. I couldn't pay them to trade places. What do you guys think what's the downfall of marriages?
Well, it's funny because we were just talking about this not too long ago as well. I was saying that marriage is a selfless relationship. It's it's almost like you can't it can't be just about, if marriage is about you, then then it's over before you even start. Um, I think about there's this uh what was it, the Love Like You Meant It. It was like a marriage. I think you heard of. We went to one of the seminars, and one of the things that, I don't know if you remember, babe, but he was saying, stand up and tell your spouse that I'm selfish. He said, tell your spouse that I'm selfish.
And what if you say, I know.
Right. And then he was telling the other person, now tell your spouse that you're selfish. And we had to say that. And he was saying that we are selfish in so many ways. However, there are times when we can still be selfish, but the whole scope of the marriage should be about a selfless relationship. And I say that, and I remember there are times when I come home, I'm really tired, and I'll still cook. You know what I'm saying? Because I know it ain't just about me. Um, and maybe she's here, but maybe she's got something else going on that she can't, take care of. There have been times, and we talked about this not too long ago. I'll go outside and do the yard. She'll come outside and help me. And
What?
yeah, there are times, and she can explain why she does that, but she'll come outside and help me do the yard. And I don't ask her, but next thing I know, she's coming out there, grabbing stuff, and I'm like, "Hey, don't worry about it. I'm helping you." So I'm like, "Okay." So there are times when I may take out the trash. There are times when she's taken out the trash and brought the trash cans back in. So it's not just I wash some dishes sometimes. She washed the dishes. Or it's not just like, okay, that's your job. This is my job. It's we're helping each other.
Mhm.
It reminds me of the scripture in Genesis I just read not too long ago. Actually, was it earlier today or yesterday? And it was just talking about Adam. And when God made Adam, when he made Eve, it was he was her help. After he gave Adam a job, it was like, okay, now I've given you the job to till the ground, to do these things. Now it's not good for you to be alone. Not that he was lonely. It didn't say he was
Right,
lonely. It
right,
just said it
right.
wasn't good for him to be alone. So he made a helper for her, a helper for him.
Right.
And I looked at that and I'm like, it wasn't just so he had a job, so she was there to assist him. So when I look at that, I'm like, that's how marriages should be. That's how God designed it.
I agree. I think so many different things. I think marriage should be selfless, and that is a job.
Hmm.
I mean, like marriage, we're supposed to be one, right? That's not easy
Oh yeah,
becoming
yeah.
one because we love ourselves. We want to do what we want to do. We want to do what makes us feel good. So, um, working and saying denying yourself maybe of certain things or, sacrificing certain things, it's not always easy because my flesh,
All of
it's
our
like
flesh.
it's like a spoiled kid. It want what it wants. But just trying to be one, when you think about something being one, it doesn't just it doesn't just pull apart.
Hmm.
It's working together. You think about your body working as a whole, like your arm doesn't one arm doesn't say, you know what, right arm, you didn't help me today wash the dishes, so I'm done. I mean, it doesn't say that. Your arms work together, your body works together as a whole, and that's what we should be striving to do. Again, it's hard. Like we don't always get it right.
Oh no, not
But
at
then
all.
but it goes back to that relationship with God. Like, God, okay, we're supposed to come together as one. I didn't get that right today. I didn't say that right today. I shouldn't have said that. I didn't do that well. Let me go back and apologize. And like, let's work at this again. Let's continue to work at it. I think a lot of times people go into marriage and it's like, you know what? If you don't do or whatever, I'm out. And one of the things that we learned at the Love Like You Mean It cruise and the Weekend to Remember and stuff like that, it's like, I don't want to say, because I know things are different for different people, and there are reasons why people get divorced. That's not an option. We're gonna figure it out. I mean, if God can raise dead bodies, God can help us to get it together. He can help us to figure it out. But again, I have to love him like I love my body. I, I'm not just gonna treat it any kind of way. I mean, try not to. But I have to love him like that. And it takes me going back to God, like, okay, God, I done jacked up, I done messed up. But trying to love him like that and him love me like that. And it takes that. And yeah.
And I would say too, like I don't want to make it seem like when I say selfless that that's what we do every single
Right,
time,
right.
because there are no perfect marriages,
Yeah.
and we don't have one.
We do not.
But the thing is that we do have certain principles that we stand by. Hey, wait a minute. We ain't talking to each other any kind of
Right.
way.
Right.
So
Bring it
if,
down.
if you can't talk to me right now, then go take a break for a second. Let's come
Mhm.
back. Let's have a conversation. You know, until then, we're not gonna be screaming at each other, calling each other. We're not doing
Yeah.
that. So
We don't call each other out our names.
That-
And it's the respect there.
Right.
You know, people will go to work and their boss can treat them any kind of way and they'll hold it together. They are not going to say anything to their boss.
Right.
They respect their boss. We ought to do the same thing. Okay. Everything, I always say, everything that you think is not meant to be said. Okay. You had that thought. It probably wasn't right. Keep it to yourself, because you can say, I'm sorry, but you can't take that back. Whatever you said, you can never get
Right.
it back. So you need to be very careful of what you say and how you say it, because sorry doesn't take those feelings away, you know? So
and one quick thing, and then I'll let you get back. I remember when we were dating, I don't know if we got into an argument or whatever it was, but she hung up on me. So I called her back and I was like, as long as you live, don't you?
no, you came home. You didn't call me back.
Oh, really?
You
Oh,
came,
came
you
home.
came,
Oh, okay.
he came in the door and I was like,
I was like, as long as you live, don't you ever hang up on me again. And she's never.
I've never, out of respect, that was disrespectful. I was acting out of anger and out of my flesh, and I'm gonna show him I was wrong. I was disrespectful, and I like, okay, we can get off the phone, we can be mad, but we're gonna be like, bye.
Right, right.
Like, you know, or we can be mad going to bed. Okay, we sleeping in this bed.
Oh,
like,
sure.
like,
Ain't no couches.
Right,
ain't no...
right. And bring your legs over here. Like, I don't care. We gonna get it together, but you're not going into another bed or another room. No.
It's like some of these questions overlap. I got my questions here.
Mhm.
Darren,
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole lot of talk, and this is stuff, the really good, juicy stuff that people want to talk about, I'm sure, that I want to talk about. There's a whole lot of talk from these red pill guys, these manosphere guys, which I don't even know what that is, because y'all married.
I heard that
Kind of know
before.
somewhat,
Mhm.
but it's kind of like the red pill manosphere guys are kind of like the response to feminism. So now you got the guys going overboard and really just out of order when it comes to women. I mean, some of the stuff makes sense. We get it,
Mhm.
but it's kind of like the he man woman haters club guys. But it's a lot of talk when it comes to marriage, and they say that marriage does not benefit men, which I think is crazy.
Mhm.
But for somebody who's been married almost 32 years, what would you say about that as a happily married man? And how does marriage benefit men, or does it only benefit the woman?
Oh, I think it's extremely beneficial. One, I think scientists have proven, or science have proven, that men live longer.
Right, married men live
Yeah,
longer. Yep.
they live longer. Um, I joke about, I joke, I joke with her about this, but even but I found out that this to be true. But having having sex on a regular basis with your spouse is also psychologically um, beneficial, helps you emotionally, spiritually, but it also helps you in health. I think it's it says it's healthy for your prostate as well. So it's I mean, and that's been proven as well. I have to go back and look if you want to look it up or whatever.
Yeah.
But but so there's nothing like being in a relationship where somebody who has your back, who you can build with, and who can just be there for you, like pray for you, who can be there when you're just not all there, who always encourages you. So
Well, if you have a stroke, they'll understand, get you out.
It was.
Joke. Yeah.
Right.
Sinbad.
Sinbad,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
But like, I wouldn't trade it.
Yeah.
I definitely, I wouldn't trade it.
And I asked Darren not too long ago. This is like maybe a few weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. Just from some of my other conversations with some of my other friends who are single um, and had been married before, and I said, do you feel like you could be like transparent or vulnerable with Renee? I think that's what I meant. Said
Mhm.
vulnerable, and he said, yeah. He said, yeah. Because the conversation that me and some of my other buddies that'll see this, that we have in our little private chat, um, is conversations that men have with other men. Not that we don't want to have those conversations with women that we were married to or are married to, some guys that are married, or women that we're interested in. But we don't feel the safe space to do it.
Mhm.
And I just had a recent example of that personally yesterday. I text Darren moaning about it. He sent me a text back. He's like, "You okay? Like, I might need to make an emergency phone call." But he said, "Yeah." But and I said this to the person that I was talking to, the lady. I said, "This is the reason." I said, "Women want men to be emotionally available, but this is the reason why we're not." Because a
Mhm.
lot of times when we try to be emotionally available, and I get it in women's defense, when you've always had that privilege, it's a saying that those who are privileged are blind to their privilege because it's something that
Mhm.
you've already had.
Mhm.
So you don't recognize how difficult it is for a man to be vulnerable because we don't have the liberty of doing that. Even on my social media page, I can't go on there talking about. I mean, I think I'm probably a little more open than most guys are comfortable with. But I mean, just an example I gave somebody just recently. Today, I was talking to somebody. I have I have had girlfriends, relationships ended. Uh, I've liked somebody, they didn't like me. I've been married and divorced. Nobody ever knew on my Facebook page because nothing that I wrote about changed. I didn't go on there and it's like, oh, he must be going through. I can tell by his post. There was none of that.
Mhm.
Because for one, I don't use my page like that. For two, it's like men, we don't have the liberty to be that open, that vulnerable, because sometimes when we do, what we'll hear is man up.
Mhm.
It'll be man up, or it's like they'll hear you but not really hear you, and they don't realize the struggle that it is and how uncomfortable. It's almost like um, you having to enter a room naked, and it's a bunch of people looking at you, evaluating you,
Mhm.
but you're the only one naked,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and you don't measure up.
Mhm.
It's like that. So I was having a conversation with some of my other buddies, and so I said, I'm gonna ask Darren. And it didn't take him no time. He didn't have to deliberate, think about it, none of that. He said, yeah. And I'm saying, even thinking about something like that when guys saying that marriage only benefits, which I think is insane when I hear that marriage only benefits, it doesn't benefit men. Even something like that, where you're able to bare your soul with
Mhm.
a woman. You're a man, and you're able to bare your soul and be safe in that
Mhm.
space.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Be safe. You don't have to walk 10,000 steps like I do around the complex or sit up and listen to sad songs. I'm just kidding because, I call you, I call
Right.
other people, but you would want to be in a situation where you're able to just be vulnerable and talk to your spouse. So that itself is a benefit for a man to
Mhm.
be with a woman because yeah, we don't. I mean, it's one thing to tell your boy, but it's
Right.
something different when it's somebody that you're one with.
Right.
I
Oh,
ain't one with
absolutely.
Darren, you are.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So it's different. Do you have anything?
Yeah.
What would you say to a woman, or what would your response be to that? That only women benefit from being married.
I guess I guess I would say what what are you looking for? Like what is it? It seems like maybe people are saying that because they are looking for something, they're feeling like they're not getting it, and it's just all about the woman.
Okay. Yep.
And it's not again, it's not supposed to be just all about the woman. It's supposed to be the woman taking care of the man taking care of the woman. Um, and they both benefit. I don't know. I guess people look for different things, right? And I think about, before we got married, like I always say, and I don't know, I guess people are saying different things, right? That the man is supposed to, take care of the woman and all of that, right? And to a certain extent, he is the head, right? He is the head. Christ is his head. He is the head of our household. So I respect him that way, right? Before we got married, and we were talking about this, because I would be like, I don't need a man. And I guess what I was saying was, I had a job, I had a car, I had a house. I could get my nails done. I got my hair done. So I wasn't looking for somebody, oh, I want you to do this for me. I want you to get me a purse. I want you to buy me this, that, and the other. I don't need you for that. I could do that for myself. So, and I would always say that. Mm-hmm. And maybe I said it wrong, mm-hmm. But that's what I meant, right? I'm not looking for somebody to do those things for me, although it's nice, when you get me something or whatever. But then it was one time when we went to get some gas. And so I'm sitting there, I was driving, and I'm like, are you gonna get out and pump the gas? And he was like, you don't need a man. Oh my gosh. I got out the car. I was so mad. I was slamming the door and everything.
I'm in there laughing.
I was so mad. But even till today, I mean, even up until today, again, I do things for him. He does things for me. I don't look at him as like, that's what I need you for. Do you know what I'm saying? And, just some of the things that I hear, I don't know if that is what, women think or men think. I'm not really up on the conversations that are going on out here, right? But it shouldn't be like that. And I tell my daughter, get your own stuff. And that doesn't mean that when you find that, when that man finds you, and we're praying for somebody who will love God and then love you, as he's loving God, y'all come together as one. But you don't go out there looking for somebody to do your stuff. Mm-hmm. You want your nails done, get your nails done. Take care of your finances so you can do that for yourself. So that is not your purpose of looking for somebody. I mean, I don't know. My brother tells me I think differently. I don't know, but it shouldn't be that I'm looking to him, to provide just stuff that either I can't provide for myself or I don't want to provide for myself. And he provides a lot. It's physical stuff, but spiritual stuff as well. I mean, leading us in prayer, and we work together for the things that we have. So I just don't.
Well, it's funny you said, because I was thinking before you said your brother said you think differently. I was I was thinking I was going to say this when you finished. You do think differently, and so does my sister. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking, okay, I need to reframe or give you an example of what men deal with so you can understand, because you're not like that. I know you. Mm-hmm. I've known you as long as he has. Mm-hmm. My sister, when I'm having those conversations with Tina, and I have to tell Tina, you're not like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not talking about you. Mm-hmm. You're different. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking about this was like a couple of days ago. So I picked up the phone. I called our friend, Los. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying his full name, just in case. So I called him, which really wasn't nothing he said, it was what I said. I asked him, I said, what benefit is there for a single man dating if he's not having sex? And of course, I'm not advocating that. Everybody knows I don't advocate for that. I believe in abstinence till you get married. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, thinking about how things are in this current dating environment that you're not aware of. And even when you were dating, you weren't like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking about this and I'm saying, so a man I would have to take her out, which again, we don't have problems with that, but this is how it goes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I take her out. I'm expected to pay for it. I
Mhm.
expect to
Mhm.
pay for it.
Mhm.
But so I got to take her out, pay for it. I'm evaluated on where I take her because I can't take her to Starbucks, and then we just found out recently I can't take her to Cheesecake Factory, or I can't take her to chain restaurants with some of these women. And I'm saying we're evaluated on that stuff. So I got to take you out, check, and then I have to consider where am I taking her.
Mhm.
And so check, and then I could go out with her for a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months. And now, mind you, she knows I like her because I'm the one asking you out, all this kind of stuff. She may or may not like me. I don't know. Just because you're going out with me and allowing me to spend money on you doesn't mean you like me.
Right.
So I'm taking her out, or any other guy. We taking a lady out, and it could be a few months, and then she could decide at whatever point that she's not interested. I don't know why. She doesn't have to tell us why. We don't know what the evaluation was based on. She doesn't even have to respond to us anymore. You can just decide, I'm good, and just not take the calls anymore or whatever. And I'm saying in an exchange like that, the guy puts up all of the risk. He stands to gain nothing from that because he's taking her out. And again, like I said, dudes don't have a problem with that.
Mhm.
But it's if I'm taking you out and I'm spending my money, if I take you to uh Roof Chris or if I take you to Red Lobster, it's the same cost to you either way. I'm paying for it.
Right.
And the crazy part is it could actually be a restaurant that a woman would go to on her own dime,
Mhm.
but she's too good for you to take her there. It's like all of this kind of crazy stuff that you have to deal with. And guys are hearing that and they're feeling that type of pressure when it comes to dating. And then I guess when it comes to marriage, it's the same thing because the guy's expected to, he's supposed to uh, take care of her. He's supposed to be the provider. And whenever I hear that, I'm like, okay, provider. Why is it that provision seems to only include money,
Mhm.
paying for stuff? Does provision mean that I get a say so? That I get guidance? That I get to say, no, we're not doing that, we're doing this? Is that all provision? Or is that just provision means that I'm supposed to pay for stuff?
Mhm.
I mean, you get to decide what provision is, you get to determine, well, he's supposed to pay the majority of the bills. And then I'll pay like small stuff, like, I may pay some of the utilities. All of this kind of stuff. And then I'm thinking too, well, wait a minute, the same Bible, because they'll say, well, God said, well, the same Bible that said I'm supposed to provide also said you're supposed to be the keeper of the home.
Mhm.
It said that you're supposed to submit.
Mhm.
But it's all of that kind of crazy stuff that you hear where guys will take issue with dating, will take issues with marriage because it looks like there's no upside except for, like I said, the dudes that's having sex with women because they figure, hey, this is the cost of doing business.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. Like, I think that first of all, it's a respect thing, right? And probably when we went out, he probably paid. And we even talk about that. What if he asked me out, would I expect him to pay? And I think I probably would. And I don't know if that's just because it seemed like that's the way it was, in the old day that the guy would ask the woman out and he would pay or whatever. So I don't know if my feelings stem from that or what. But like I just think that out of respect, you guys are dating to find out if you like each other or compatible, right? It may go back to women or whoever thinking that, okay, you have to, I don't want to say earn me, like you have to take me out to the most expensive place. I don't know if they are looking for, potentially looking for a free meal or what, but I thought that it was supposed to be you guys going out to talk to see if, can y'all laugh together? I mean, like, what are your interests? I mean, what things do you like? What's your,
Small talk.
right.
Favorite
I mean,
color.
to figure out what's going on. Like, I don't know if it's all about the restaurant or whatever. I guess it depends on what you're looking for, right? It's funny because like we would go, I don't know, maybe like little restaurants. We would go like to a gas station or something, and we would just get like a 6-piece chicken wing, right? And just go to the park or something. It wasn't about that. I'm not, I'm not the type of person, and people are different, I don't have to go to um expensive restaurants because to me, you spending all this money and you get this little cute little plate. That's not me. But some people are like that. Some people may equate that to if you take me to one restaurant over other, maybe you don't care about me. Or we all have grown up in different households. We've learned different things from people that we've been around. We come with different experiences and hurts and all of that. So, it's easy for me to say just because that is me. Other people, maybe they're looking for other things and they haven't communicated that, right? If you take me to Red Lobster versus Ruth Chris, then in my mind, based on my experience, I may equate that as you don't see me as valuable. Because otherwise, if you saw me as valuable or more, or you liked me more, or whatever, you would take me here. That's somebody's, maybe their experience or maybe their, what they grew up with.
But
So it's hard to say.
Yeah, and I think we again, I was talking to my daughter about that, and I asked her, is it important where you go, or is it more important where you go, or is it more important about the getting to know that person? And
She probably wouldn't want to go to McDonald's.
right. No, but
still,
even still, if we met up at McDonald's, hey, and I don't eat McDonald's anyway, but I'm just saying if we met up there or Starbucks or whatever, just to say, hey, look, I just want to I don't drink coffee. Okay, we just getting a date. Whatever. We going there to talk. I want to get to know you. I'm not about to spend hundreds of dollars on you. And I know some people will be like,
and we talked about that too.
right. And just to be spending hundreds of dollars just to say, okay, I'll take you out. Now, do you like me or do I mean, no, I want to get to know it. I don't mind. It wouldn't bother me to do that, to take somebody out to a nice restaurant, but I want to know, like, before I do that, I'm like, okay, hey, look, what are we doing this for? Are you just trying to get a free meal from me, or I'm
You probably
interested?
wouldn't say that, right?
But why? But I
Right.
want to know. I want to feel some interest. I want to feel something, some reciprocation of that interest.
But still, you you are getting to know each other. I mean, initially it's probably off of looks, right? You saw
Absolutely,
somebody,
yeah.
they saw somebody,
Yeah.
you thought you were cute, whatever. Okay, I want to take you out or whatever. And like I was telling him, if he chooses to, let's just say, take me out, if he chose to spend $100, don't come to me and say, well, I've spent this money on you. That was his choice. It wasn't.
No.
Wait,
Right.
okay.
No, go ahead.
It wasn't like I said, okay, this is what I'm requiring from you, right?
Right.
That's your choice. So don't bring it back like you trying to throw it in my face like I owe you something. No, that was your choice. But if I am like, okay, I want you to take me to, I don't even know the fancy restaurants, whatever, expensive restaurant. I want you to take me to, a restaurant or whatever, then that I think is different. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in either case, it should be about learning each other, getting to know each other. But I think that it is wrong if a woman is not interested,
To just keep it going.
right? Or I'm just gonna use you because I want you to take me here or buy me this or that or whatever. I again, it goes back to the respect, because if you don't want somebody to do it to you, you shouldn't do it to somebody else.
And then I would also say I would think I just told her. To me, it would be cool just for a woman to say, "Hey, look, let me take care of the tip," or next time we go out,
Yeah.
you know, I'll take care of it.
I don't think we did that. I don't know if I did that.
But
I don't know.
but even
mhm.
still, I'm just saying that just shows like
Yeah,
that
some
you-
consideration.
exactly.
But here's how this will go now. Sometimes I've seen it like, just some of the threads on social media about the guy saying, should she offer? I think I've even asked that, offer the tip. And you hear stuff like, if he can't afford to take her out, then he shouldn't ask her out. It's like, really? Because here's what happens. Here's what usually happens when a guy takes a woman out and she offers to pick up at least pay the tip. He usually says no.
Exactly.
He just appreciated the
That-
consideration.
Yeah, the gesture.
Because I remember a girl I went out with, this was, well, I think I had 2 dates last year. So this was like the year before. I'm serious, it's terrible. But this is like the year before I went out with somebody. And she said she went to pay, I think for hers. I said, no, I got it. She said, okay, well, you want me to pick up the tip? I was like, no, I got, but it was just the appreciation.
Right, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
the consideration, as opposed to, just like I talked to my boys in our secret chat. The thing that we're not really complaining about the money that we spent. We don't care about spending the
Right.
money. It's the sense of entitlement, like you're entitled to this. And I think about that stuff. It's like, well, wait a minute. My mother didn't feel entitled to me spending money on her. My sister doesn't. My nieces don't. I do, and they know. My niece know when she go out with me, I'm gonna pay for it.
Right.
But she doesn't feel entitled
Right.
to it, and she doesn't think that this is what I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how is it that a woman that I don't know, I think you're cute, because that's all I'm working on now, because I don't know you. That's why I'm taking you out,
Right, right.
trying to get to know you.
Mhm.
And you think that you're entitled to something that my mother didn't think she was entitled to. My sister, it's insane. That's what David told you. That's what I'm saying. You're different. I
Yeah.
remember when we was going out, when we were all going out when we were kids in our 20s and stuff. Because remember, Kathy worked she worked at
The
the
pizza
pizza
place,
joint,
yeah.
Little Caesars.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The
And remember,
the
we go up to that mug
yeah.
and she would make a pizza. We had to pay for it.
Right.
She would make the pizza.
Right,
We
true
go back to my mom's house
Mhm.
and sit up and watch TV, eat pizza, and act
Pizza
silly.
pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like now it's different. It's well, I shouldn't even say now it's different. You're different. You weren't like that anyway. That's why you can't remember some of the details of dating when it comes to that kind of stuff, because you were never like that. But it's like now, it's like, where am I gonna take her? It's like you're feeling this pressure.
Yeah.
You're feeling this pressure
Yeah.
from somebody that you don't know, and then you don't know if it's gonna work out or not.
Mhm.
You can't. It's like if I ask her to Starbucks or something, it's like,
Right.
is that
Right. Right.
or because I asked my buddies, a few weeks ago. I said, hey, how many dates did you go out on this year? He's like, oh, around 12. The other one went out on more than that. And he's like, D, I like to wine and dine them. Look at the amount of money that you rack up going out with somebody that you don't even end up in a relationship with. And you know me, I was sitting around thinking, I said, what if it was like when you go to a repair shop for your car and you know it's something wrong with your car, you take the car in and they say, well, we got to do a diagnostic to find out what's wrong with the car. And the diagnostic is, $100. But we find out the problem with your car and you get it repaired here, that $100 goes toward the repairing of the car. I said, what if you go out with a girl, you take her out a few months and you paying for all these dates, you keep your receipts, and then she decides you ain't the one for her. She got to at least pay you back her portion of the bill. And if the relationship you move forward, then that goes toward the relationship. Of course, you can't sell that to anybody.
Right.
But it's just crazy how it benefits the other person. And again, it's different if I'm taking you out somewhere, you don't really care. We're going around somewhere or something like that. It's cool. But it's like I gotta take you out somewhere nice, and you can string me along. Or maybe you're not stringing me along. You just decide somewhere along the way, not interested.
Yeah.
It didn't
But
cost
that
you
should be,
anything.
but that,
My feelings hurt, and I done spent a lot of money.
But if that person is interested, then it doesn't matter where you take them.
Yeah.
It's not gonna matter to them because they're not in it for the food. They just want to be with you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, because here's what Diana does. Diana's my best friend, best female. And she don't care. I'm sure that I say her name, but she'll tell a guy, let's go out for coffee. And the reason she's saying is, look, this don't need to be awkward. We're trying to see if we like each other or whatever. And I don't want you to have to spend a lot of money. It's not a whole lot tied up in this, and the whole point of this is for us to get to know each other.
exactly.
But
And out of respect for the
Yeah.
other person,
yeah,
you know, she offers that. And
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. Again, there are a lot of different reasons why, you know, women may want that. And I'm not saying that, you know, you don't want somebody to take you out, take you to a nice place, you know. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that it shouldn't be, I don't think it should be that, you know, that that's what it's all about. You know, if you don't take me to the right place or whatever, then oh, it's over. I mean, like, did you get to know them? I mean, like, maybe they're saying it's over because that's what you're focused on instead of, you know, getting to know the person. So, you know,
And I know the first place we went to eat, where was it?
oh, was it Rams on?
Yep.
yeah. I could have guessed that because that was not
Yeah, right.
I've even seen in some of the threads stuff like, is $100 enough for a date? It's like you can't even get drinks. You can't even get a decent meal and drinks for $100. It's like, are you serious? And I mean, and it's like it's so much evaluation on that type of stuff that you never even get to know who the person is. We're talking about whether or not where you take this person, is he 6 feet tall? It's like all this kind of stuff, which is funny to me because we always hear that men are visual. And I'm like, well, if you like guys taller than you, that's not visual.
But let me say this. It is so funny because we talk about this too. So we were talking about, you know, when we met, right? And no shade, because I love my husband. I think he's the finest thing.
Now you do.
Yes, now I do. But let's go back to that. Because I remember I was dating and I was like, I had my list, right? After I've been in these relationships and I had my list. I'm not dating anybody who doesn't have a car. I'm not dating anybody who doesn't have a job. I am not doing that.
That's
right?
reasonable. All of that.
Right.
Then I came along.
And then he came along. And if I had, and I'm not, everybody has their own list and what's important to them, right? If I had just stuck to a list instead of getting to know a person, I would have been out without my gift. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because I'm looking at, because he didn't have a car, he was playing for churches, you know. But according to my list, based on my experience, oh, I'm not doing this again. I would have missed out because I would have just said.
So why'd you talk to him?
I talked to him because he saw me as a person. It wasn't about my looks, or he never came off like, oh, you so pretty, I think you so fine. He never came off like that. He talked to me. He got to know me for me, the inside, what I was thinking, what I was feeling. He got to know me. Now, I think he thought I was cute. He thought I was cute, but it wasn't it wasn't based on that.
Yeah.
He wanted to know me. And it wasn't about, when we were in a relationship, it was like, okay, well, I got the car, we want to go, we gonna go. He would help, he was helping me pay my car note. He didn't have to do that. I didn't ask him to do that, but that was something that he wanted to do. So it, it wasn't, again, it wasn't like, okay, I expect you to do this, this, and this. He loved me. He cared for me. He did stuff to try to make me feel good, and I tried to reciprocate those things. It wasn't like I have a list for you to meet and that's what I'm judging you by. And I'm sure I had, of course, everybody has certain things or whatever. Of course, it wasn't about the looks at first. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, oh, he's so fine, or he got to look like this, or he got to look like that. We were just friends. He was kind. He wanted to know me. It just wasn't about that.
Okay.
I don't even remember help you paying for a car though.
You
But
did.
okay,
You gave me some
Okay.
money.
okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. I
Yeah,
just
I
didn't
appreciate it.
remember that.
Don't be trying to ruin the game. I pay this going on social media, going on YouTube. What you trying to say? But that brings me to something I was going to ask you about too. That was one of the things I was going to ask you about was the infamous 50-50 relationships.
Oh.
You know what that is, right?
Mhm.
Where everybody knows 50-50 relationships. You hear so much about that. 50-50 relationships, that's roommates. And again, whenever I see that stuff on social media and I'm responding to somebody else's thread, because I don't usually get that kind of drama on my page, I always think about y'all. And a lot of times I'll be like, well, one of my friends, or it'll be two of them, because it'll be you and Kurt, y'all wise. And I always point out you all situation because y'all break a whole lot of these modern rules, stereotypes, or whatever, because you're the professional, you're the one who's more educated. Darren got a service job like me, and I laugh, I tease Darren, and we laugh about it. I was like, dude, Renee ain't supposed to. Y'all not supposed to be together. I'm like, why are you at Renee? She make more money. She got the professor, and we laugh about it because of how ridiculous it is. Because that's what everybody's saying out, or you hear a lot out in the street. So has that ever been an issue? Which some of the stuff I'm asking, I know the answer to, but they don't. Has that ever been an issue? The fact that you have a degree, he doesn't. You have a business, he doesn't. Or, I mean, I guess you
Yeah.
do.
Right,
You do, but you know what I'm
right,
saying.
right,
Yeah.
right.
You have the business, all of these things. So you would be, because typically what we hear with women, what we hear a lot, and these are some of the things. These are some of the things. I'm laughing because I got in an argument with our friend yesterday about this, and we hung up on each other. One of our male buddies, but we argue about this because he makes a lot of money, and he's meeting women that make more money than he does.
Mhm.
So it's like there's a certain amount of pressure. And it's like with men, sometimes it's intimidating and it's uncomfortable because the thought is because of what so much of the stuff we hear, she don't really need me. Not only does she
She
make
don't
money,
need a man.
right? Exactly. She makes a lot of money.
Mhm.
She got her own house, might even be nicer than his house. She got her own nice car. She got a career, things like that. So it's like it's almost like when a guy sees an average girl or a girl just so whatever. He just because I've done this. I'm walking by, I speak to people, and she doesn't speak or she snubs me, and it's just like really, I was just speaking. And then when I see a cute girl that I want to talk to, I don't want to say nothing to her because I'm thinking this chick just shot me down that I wasn't even interested in. I was just speaking. So when a guy is doing well for himself and he's talking to a woman who's doing better than he is, it's like, what do I have to offer her? Or you know what I'm saying? It's that thing. So
You know what? Again, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. That was me. I don't need a man. I did not need him for those things, but I needed a man um because I needed a head, right? According to the scriptures, right? I needed I needed love. I can have money, I can have my car, I can have all of that stuff, but that doesn't provide me love, companionship, I mean, just the respect for each other, just all of that. It's so much that you can get from a man, and I think a man can get from a woman that's outside of the material stuff. I think that, and I'm not saying that, that we have, material stuff, but we get it together. We work toward it together. Our goal is we're going to do it together. So it's not like I've not ever thought that, oh, because I make more money that I'm any better, or that respect is still there. I still respect him as my head. It has nothing to do with the money. It has nothing to do with whatever I may or may not have had before us coming together. It has nothing to do with that. He's an individual, and getting to know him and what he's about. I mean, if he weren't, if he was the type of person that, like, I felt like was taking advantage, or no, I'm not gonna work, I'm gonna lay in the bed while you go to work and you go do that would be something different. No, we're not doing that, but we're doing this together. He's working, I'm working. It doesn't matter where the money is coming from, it's coming together, and we're doing it together. We put it in one pot, and we do it together. Whatever we're gonna do, we're doing it together. We're vacationing or whatever. It's like, okay, we're one. Our household is one. Our lives are one. So for me to say, and this is just me, for me to say, okay, this is mine and that's yours, and you do that and I do this, to me, that's not one. I just think of that body, that, your right side, if your right side of the body starts to tell your left side, well, that's yours and this is mine, and you do what you're going to do, and I'm going to do this or whatever, or this long, I'm going to breathe 50% of the time and I want you to breathe 80%. I mean, like, to me, that's stupid to me. You can get more done working together than, you know, excuse me, working individually, so that's never been an issue. We just do it
I
together.
was going to say there's a scripture in Ecclesiastes that says that when there's two or more working together, you can get more done. And so like that is, and I think that 50-50 is ridiculous. That is just really ridiculous
Right.
for anybody to do anything. And I know she tells me all the time, thank you for allowing me to be able to do what I do, because I wouldn't have been able to do that if you hadn't have been working, so that she can build her business and to do that.
Yeah, take care of the kids. I mean, he was like, okay, yeah, go home and be with the kids, raise the kids, do that. And even, I remember we were both working, you know, um, and I was doing pretty good. And then God was like, okay, I'm calling you off the job. And I'm like, no, this can't be God. Because he know we need these two incomes. And I called him on the way to work crying. And I'm like, Lord, okay, whatever he says. And he was like, if that's what God told you, then that's what you do. And God has blessed us. I mean, we haven't missed a beat. Sometimes, early on it was difficult sometimes, but we never missed a beat. But no, he is, excuse me, he's not about a check to me. He does bring we both bring our money, our checks, and we put it in the account, and we figure out how do we take care of all that we're involved with together.
It's funny because we can be filling out some paperwork sometime, and I'll have to ask her, how much do I make? And I had to ask her because I'm like, I don't even know sometimes, because I just, my check just go right into the bank. So I'll be like, how much did I make? And then she'll like, did you get extra on your check this? I'm like, I don't know.
Right. Right.
See that? I mean, it's just funny listening to y'all, because I told you, me and Darren laugh about this stuff, because just being out here single and all of this nonsense, you hear 50-50 is like I said, 50, that's roommates. And I said, well, if two people get married and they're supposed to no longer be twain, two people, but one, so you're one, but your incomes are separate.
Hmm.
How does that make sense?
Mhm.
Or
Okay.
I would be thinking, I would want to ask women that say these things.
Can I
Go
say
ahead.
this
Yes,
though?
yes, go ahead.
I believe that it makes a difference though, right? Because you could have a person who is a spender, and you could have a person maybe who's a saver. And again, these people are coming from different experiences, different backgrounds and stuff. So, and that was one of the things, kind of seeing on the same page, although we didn't start off on the same page because I was in debt and he was not. But my okay, I'll just say somebody that I know, one um was about taking care of the bills. The other one would take the money as soon as it came in. So that person had to get a separate account in order to make sure that the bills were getting paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there are different situations where somebody may have to have, a separate account, because if somebody is taking all the money and they're just blowing it, the person has to be able to take something
Yeah.
and take care of those responsibilities. So I think that ideally, to as one, you would want to have one account. You guys are working together as one, but it's not always like that for
Yeah.
many different reasons. And I think that should be discussed even
I was just gonna say, during the dating
going
process.
right, going into marriage. Like I was in debt. I had a lot of debt, and he didn't. And we got it together.
But still, even in that, you all were one, because what you're talking about is not so much whether you have one account, but you were working together, and that's still
Mhm,
strategy.
Mhm.
That's different than a woman saying he's supposed to take care of me, and it's like, well, okay, what do you do with your money?
Mhm.
Whatever I want, pretty much. I spend my money. It's his job to take. That's different.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is strategy. I even had a good friend of mine, her and her husband, and just from what she told me, it seemed like they didn't have joint accounts, but what she did that I've never heard anybody talk about when they talk about this 50-50 stuff, she she had spreadsheets. We laughed about it because he was talking about how intricate her spreadsheets was. But what she did, she made more money than her husband at the time, because she had been on her job for a long, long period of time. She had a good like government job, whatever. And they paid percentages. That way, she paid more than him,
Mhm,
but she paid more because she made more. And
mhm,
she wanted to make sure that her husband, if they split it down the center, he would be paying more because he earned less,
mhm,
which I thought was just very, I mean, just to be that considerate,
mhm,
that I don't want him to pay more than me. So we're going to pay equal percentages. So we're both spending the same amount based upon what we earn. Even
mhm,
something like that.
mhm,
That's still two people that are working
mhm.
Right. Right.
together,
Right.
and you're being considerate of the other person, and it's not just this attitude that he's supposed to take care of me. It's like, okay, cool, well, how does he benefit from this relationship? And then when I ask questions, it's like, you ask questions like that, I've had women actually get mad. It's like,
But
whoa.
it seems like it goes back to, I mean, like when I hear that, I guess it seems like it just goes back to money. No, you
Yeah.
don't want somebody living off you. Do you
Right.
know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to be taken advantage of, not a guy, not a
No.
female. Nobody wants to be taken advantage of. But and I have nothing else to go back to but the word.
Yeah.
Working as one. If
Yeah.
you're working as one, you are concerned about him. He's concerned about you. And so I think that 50-50, it's like, okay, what needs to be done? Like, okay, the house is dirty, whatever. I'll clean it up or whatever. But if like I'm busy or something, he doesn't come in and say, you need to get this house clean or the house not clean. No, he could have worked all day and I've worked too, just not, doing it the same way. But he'll come in and he'll clean the kitchen. The whole point is we both live in this house.
Right.
We're both benefiting from a clean kitchen. Or like he said, like going outside. Okay, I don't necessarily like doing outside work. I do like to use the weed whacker or whatever. But like I told him, I think about like I don't want to use him up. So if I can help him to not use him up, if he's outside 3 hours, if I could go out and I can help and he could come in after 2 hours, like what? I love him. I want him to be around. So whatever I can do to help him, or if I'm stressed out and I haven't cooked, and he prefers to cook more than me. I don't really like to cook, but he will come in after working all day and he will cook and I will enjoy and eat. But it's not like, okay, this my 50, this your 50, and if you not doing yours, I'm not doing mine or whatever. It's not that. It's like what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Like I'm all in for him, trying to take care of him. He's trying to take care of me. So whatever needs to be done to get the job done, that's what we're doing. So maybe it could be, if he's worked to 7 o'clock, maybe his is 20% that day. And okay, I'm doing the 80 because we still need 100. Or if I can't do something, he jumping in. But it's not a thought, oh, okay, I don't put in my 30 or my 50%, so I'm not doing anything else. We don't think like that. We don't operate like that.
I know y'all don't. That's why I'm here. I know y'all don't think like that because I've known y'all and I see how you all's marriage is and how you guys don't all of that nonsense. It's not well, he's supposed to do that. He's supposed to take care of me. He's supposed to do. That's what I said. With you all is different because you ain't supposed to be married to him. Because you're supposed to be with some dude
based on
based upon this foolishness.
Right.
You're supposed to be actually what none of us are supposed to be married to who we married because all of our wives made more money than we did.
Right.
Mine did, Mike's, Kurt, all of our wives made more money than us. And whatever issues I had in my marriage, whatever Mike had, or whatever you are, it didn't have nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with money. It had nothing to do with any of that. And that's the thing. It's the mutual. What you're saying is the mutual respect. It's the relationship where you're concerned about his happiness. He's concerned about yours. So if it's something need to be done, it ain't like, well, she's supposed to do that. No, it needs to be done. She's doing something else. She's tired. I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing when I talk to CP about it. It's the same thing. It's like he works from home, so a lot of times he has the children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to him on the phone. He's on his way home. He picked the kids up, and I talked to him on the way home, like I do you.
Mm-hmm.
He on the way home, and he's like, "D, I'm about to go in the house. I got to fix the kids something to eat, give them a bath." He ain't tripping about, I got to do this because the wife. No.
Right.
And then if he's doing something and she need to pick the kids up, it's like they're making sure that things that need to be taken care of are taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not this nonsense about you supposed to be no, we're supposed to take care of each other.
Yeah. Somebody said, and I can't remember who said, I don't know if it was at church or what, but do you remember when they were talking about the tissue of how somebody like, okay, I know I put the tissue on so you pull it down, and sometimes you'll put it on and you're pulling it up under, right?
Yeah.
And they were saying how people can really get into it about that. Like, why are you not putting the tissue like that? But they said the most important thing is that you have tissue.
Right. It's
right. It doesn't matter. I mean, like,
right.
We're not going
especially when you sitting there.
Right.
It ain't gonna matter which way it is.
But I guess it's like certain things. Like, is that really important? Is that what we are going to allow to come in? I mean, is that what and some people do. Some, the toothpaste or whatever, clothes in the floor, whatever. I mean, everybody has their pet peeve, right? But it's like at the end of the day, is this what we are going to allow to come between us? And I was telling him, COVID. Like typically we agree, right? Most things I think we agree on. We may have some differences or whatever, but from what I can remember, we typically agree. COVID to me was so huge in our relationship. Like, it's like, oh my goodness, I do not remember us ever experiencing that. Now, we didn't argue, but we did have discussions.
Strong opinions.
Strong opinions. I felt one way, he felt the other. He would send me stuff, and I would like look at stuff, and it got to the point where like I felt tension around that, but it's like, okay, we disagree. Are we going to let that come between us? I mean, interrupt our flow? I mean, we gonna be around each other and we gonna be all tense because I'm mad at you or whatever. Nope. We talked about it. We talked about it. We talked and talked and talked about it. We still disagree. To this day, we still disagree. Okay. But we're not gonna let that come in between. Like time is so short. To be playing games, to be living life, I'm going to try to prove something to you. So I'm not going to talk to you, or I'm going to have an attitude with you, or I'm just going whatever. Life is too short. We don't know when either one of us will be called home. Like, I want to enjoy my time with him. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, yeah, we may disagree, but we learn to disagree, but we respect each other. Okay, wherever you go, you may disagree with people. You're not gonna go off, or you're not gonna, dog people out or whatever. Like, you just disagree. We disagree, but we can disagree in love, and we can keep it moving. Like, you have to decide, like, what is important? Is it really important? Is it important to be right? Is it like, oh, I'm going to be right. Okay, well, you may be right at the expense of what? Your relationship or whatever. Okay,
Right. And I'm not gonna comment it because I don't want you to have to edit anything on here. So
Right.
So
Right. All right. Y'all have any, because we've been going for a while and it's been really, really good stuff. Y'all have any last things y'all want to say to single people, or even married people, since you guys are married and y'all are vets, y'all seniors at this thing. Y'all marriage is longer than prison sentences. Was a terrible comparison because but it is. But the difference is people want what y'all got. Nobody want to go to prison. But so y'all have any like last words for single people, or like I said, married people? Because y'all been at this for a while. Y'all have a lot to offer, which is why I'm here.
I think that it's important, and I tell our daughter this, right? Because she's single and hopes to be married one day. And I tell her that, like, having the foundation, things that we learned on the Love Like You Mean It cruise, I had never heard in church. I had never heard, I had not heard discussed like that. Even we went to premarital counseling, like no, right? But I think having that foundation from the beginning, and I was talking to her and I was telling her about, a lot of people say that they're Christians, right? It's about that relationship with Christ, because that relationship with Christ will help you. You'll be obedient to Christ maybe before you are, wanting to do something for your spouse if you're mad, right? Having that, you all are walking the same road. You guys kind of beliefs are the same, right? You starting out with that, communicating, spending time with your spouse. I mean, with the person who you're considering marrying. You need to see the good, the bad, the ugly. You need to see where they came from, the friends that they hang around, their families, because all of that affects who that person is. Not that they cannot change, but you kind of have an idea of, okay, they just blow up at everything. Is that what you want? You can know that early, right? Learning them, spending that time, not not starting off sexually. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that
Distorts
it
Yeah.
does. You are so maybe emotionally involved that maybe things that you need to see you don't see because it's all about that. Okay, what happens if you get married and something happens where she can't perform or he can't perform? Then what? If it's based on that, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem if they don't want to perform. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be based on that. There's so many other things involved in marriage, and I'm not saying that's an important thing, but there's so many other things that are involved in marriage that you need to make some clear decisions from the beginning, things that you need to know. Communication. I tell her all the time, everything is about a text. Put the darn phone down.
Yep.
If he's texting you, tell him do not text you. He needs to call you, or you guys are face to face, because so many things can be put in a text. A person will take it one way, maybe they didn't mean it. You never asked them about it. You feel in some sort of way, and they have no clue of what you're even mad about or whatever. Communication is everything. You need to be able to look in a person's face, because maybe looking in their face, maybe they said something like, I don't know. I like your hair. I don't know. So name something we would have said. Something that they said to you, you sitting right across from them, you take it based on your experiences, everything. And now I'm like, oh, you done said something, or you trying to be funny. If I never say, okay, let's just go back. You said this, and this is how I received it. Is that how you meant it? Because I'm feeling a certain way based on how I received it. It has to be face. You need that face to face. You need that communication. The computers, the phones, text.
It's taking the personalized out of the relationship.
If they're happy, you want to see them when they're happy. You want to see them when they're sad or mad. How do they respond? All of that. So I think at the beginning, when you're dating, that's what it should be about. Tell me about the last person that made you mad, how you respond, all these different conversations that should be going on, not about, you didn't take me to whatever restaurant, because even if they did, if you're not communicating, what's the point? Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah, we went out, we spent some money, we got to eat. I still don't know you. I still don't know if I want to commit to you. And just going back to the word, I was reading the other day about in Ephesians about the man loving his wife as Christ loved the church, and the wife respecting her husband. And we talk about this all the time. It doesn't say you love your wife if she's doing A, B, and C. He didn't say that. He said, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Well, okay, women, you need to make sure that the man knows how Christ loved the church, because if he doesn't know Christ, or if he doesn't know how Christ loved the church, how's he going to love you? Woman, you need to know that it said that you are to respect your husband. It didn't say if he was this, that, and the other, or if he's doing A, B, and C. When we stand before Christ, he's going to say, did you do what I told you to do? And that's the hard part. I get in my flesh. And if things not going my way sometimes, whatever, oh no, okay, he not doing this, blah, blah, blah. Or if she not doing this, blah, blah. We can't do that. That's not how Christ told us to operate. And a lot of times that's what causes problems, because we like, oh, okay, yep, I'm gonna respect you if you bringing in this, if you this, and this, or I'm gonna love you if you doing this and doing. We all out of his will, because that's not how he designed it. And so then there are problems, so that would be my takeaway.
I was about to try to see if I had some money on me. Be offering.
Right. I mean, you said some stuff that I should have had in here for questions that I didn't. I'm like, that's perfect.
I think mine has always been, it's something that she said too about the relationship with Christ. I always say that, first of all, marriage is, God instituted it. It was in Genesis when we first see marriage. God instituted Adam and Eve at the beginning. So I think that I think you can still have a good relationship, and we mentioned this before. I think you still have a good relationship if you're not believers, but to have, you don't receive all the benefits of marriage being a believer when you're not a believer. As a
Right.
believer, you receive all those extra benefits of things that God has promised. So I always say that first is got to be this vertical relationship, and it is something we talked about from Love Like You Meant It. If this is right, then this can be right. So we got to make sure that this is right.
Mhm.
And even when the Bible talks about marriage in Ephesians, is he's giving you the uh, the building blocks for marriage. If the husband is loving his wife, and if the wife is respecting her husband, and those are the building blocks of the marriage.
And
So,
there's respect both ways.
oh,
There's,
absolutely, right.
consideration and all of that
And,
both ways.
and so I always say that there's like these 5 things that I look at in relationships and in marriage. And we started off with this. I said relationship with God is, to me, is number one, because if you're not doing that, if you don't have that, to me, it's like it doesn't really matter what the other ones are, because it's like you're not going to continue to be respectful to your spouse or the one that you're trying to date. And that is another one. So relationship with God, respect, um, communication, um, and which we talk about is huge. How we communicate, not just saying, okay, I'm communicating, but how you communicate to them. Um, and obviously sex, and I know we didn't really get into it, but I think that is a huge, especially, well, not in, but in marriage, it's a huge, especially for men. And I think women need to understand that it's not just like, okay, I'm just I'm just going. No, it's huge. So we'll discuss that another time for
Yeah.
sure. But that's a huge part of it. And then lastly, I think what do we say? Respect, communication. Oh, and our finances.
Yeah.
Finances is, if you're not one on that, that will cause divorce right there.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, actually, all of those will cause divorce, but that is huge. So I think that those are 5 things that, even if I was a single guy, I would be looking at those 5 things in a person.
Okay. Well, y'all both know I love y'all both dearly, both of y'all, not just him, but you. I feel the same way about you that I do him.
Mhm.
And I talk about both of y'all.
Mhm.
And I appreciate you all being my first for my debut of my critical relationship talk.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good kickoff, but I appreciate it. I knew I was coming to town, so I was like, let me call Darren and ask him. I was nervous about it too, but I was like, let me get myself out of my comfort zone. I think this will be really good.
Mhm.
So I appreciate you all for being here, and for the audience, like, comment, share, and thank you for watching. We appreciate you to Critical Relationship Talk.